Nobody expected it to happen a third time. A wild card with nothing to lose, standing across the net from a champion riding the form of her life, and somehow walking away with the win again. Donna Vekić came into Berlin fresh off a title in London, exhausted, battle-tested, and dangerous. Alex Eala didn't care. This is the story of a rivalry that's quietly become one of the most lopsided in women's tennis, and nobody saw it coming.
I told myself that she's fighting back, but I'm also a fighter, so I have to try. And I have to give her a hard time. So yeah, you know, Donna is an incredible player, and she's been showcasing it a lot lately, and every time I play her, it's been very difficult. So I had a lot of expectations for this match in terms of the level that I had to bring, and I'm happy with the intensity today. Yeah. I think after one point, even especially if she wins it in a winner, you just have to recollect, especially if it's a return, and forget the last point and stay in the moment. And I decide before I serve. I started tennis because of my family. My brother is 3 years older, and he started before me and was coached by my grandfather, so it was a way for us to kind of bond, and he was my coach for 10 years, the first 10 years of my career, so yeah.
To understand what happened on the grass courts of Berlin, you have to understand the gap between these two players heading into that match. On paper, it should not have been close. Donna Vekić, the Croatian veteran, the 2024 Paris Olympics silver medalist, was walking into the Berlin Tennis Open as one of the hottest players on the entire tour. Just days earlier, she had captured the HSBC Championships at Queen's Club, beating Katie Bolter on home soil in the semifinals before dismantling Emma Raducanu in the final. That wasn't a fluke run, that was a statement.
15:30.
That's a good serve.
30 beide.
Needed to go. The rally of the match.
And then there was Alex Eala, 21 years old, ranked 35th in the world, a wild card entry into the tournament, which already tells you something about where she stood in the eyes of the organizers. Just 1 week earlier, Eala had walked off the court at that very same event, having absorbed a brutal 6-2, 6-2 defeat to Eva Jovic in the round of 16. It wasn't a competitive loss, it was a beating. For a young player trying to build credibility on a surface that has never come naturally to most Filipino athletes, that kind of result could have been demoralizing.
Eala entered the tournament as number 33 in the world, with a 24-win, 15-loss season so far. Her best result was actually winning Birmingham, a 125 grass court event a couple weeks ago, beating Bartunkova in a 3-setter in the final. Her best win, though, came against Paolini in Dubai, the number 8 in the world. Of course, she did beat Goff as well at Indian Wells, but that was a retirement victory, so you can pick or choose which one was her better one. Her worst loss, though, was actually against Parks at the Australian Open, who was 99 in the world at the time. Her form's been really good, just losing to Jovic. That's the only player that's been able to beat her lately, both at Roland Garros and last week at Queen's Club, but has got a lot of grass court tennis under her belt, so this should be really interesting. Rebecca entered the tournament as the number 2 seed, with a 32-win, 9-loss season so far. Her best result was obviously winning the Australian Open at the start of the year, where she beat Sabalenka in that final. And that was her best win as well, beating Sabalenka, who was #1 in the world. Her worst loss actually came last week, where she lost at Queen's Club to Bolter, who was 73 in the world at the time. Her form hasn't been great the last couple of tournaments. Had an early loss at Roland Garros. Had a pretty decent run in Rome, but yeah, hasn't really been as dominant as she was. And we all know that she's so good on grass, so it's going to be really interesting to see how she does on this matchup. These two played the one time before that was actually a couple of weeks ago in Rome, where Rybakina got the straight sets win, but Eala did put up a good fight. So it'll be really interesting to see on this surface, where Eala has gotten a lot better than on the clay, whether or not Eala can make a bigger dent in Rybakina's game here.
Because this wasn't actually the first time these two had shared a court this year, not even close, and the history between them told a very different story than the one the rankings were suggesting. Here's what most casual fans didn't realize walking into that Berlin first-round matchup. Alex Eala and Donna Vekić had already played twice this year, and Eala had won both times. The first meeting came at the ASB Classic in Auckland back in January. On paper, that one should have gone Vekic's way too. The Croatian opened with a dominant first set, racing out to a 3-0 lead before closing it out 6-1. It looked exactly like what everyone expected, a veteran imposing her will on a younger, less experienced opponent. But something shifted in that second set. Eala found her rhythm. She started leaning into her down-the-line topspin forehand, the shot that would become her signature weapon against Vekić specifically, and she began frustrating an Olympic silver medalist who simply could not find an answer. Eala took the second set 6-4, forced a decider, and in that final set, she raced out to a 5-3 lead before closing out one of the more surprising wins of the young season, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4. Then came the second meeting at the Kooyong Classic exhibition in Australia. Same story, different scoreline. Eala found a way to win again. By the time these two arrived in Berlin, the head-to-head record stood at 2-0 in Eala's favor. And yet, somehow, almost nobody outside the dedicated tennis community was talking about it. The narrative around Vekic's red-hot grass season had completely overshadowed the quiet, building reality that this 21-year-old wildcard from the Philippines had figured something out against her.
The match began exactly how everyone expected. Vekić, sharp and aggressive from the very first point, earned an early break in just the second game of the opening set. She jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and for a moment it looked like the script was writing itself. The form player was doing exactly what form players do. The crowd at Steffi Graf's Stadion settled in for what many assumed would be a routine, professional dismantling. But Eala had other plans. Almost immediately, she responded with a break of her own in the third game, and then another in the fifth, surging ahead 3-2. The shift was subtle at first, but unmistakable to anyone watching closely. Eala wasn't playing defensively. She wasn't trying to survive. She was hunting. Vekić, sensing the momentum slipping, fought back hard in a tense sixth game, generating multiple break points that could have flipped the set right back in her favor. This was the moment. This was the test. And Eala dug in, holding serve through sheer will, completing a 4-game surge that put her up 4-2. For a player who had just been embarrassed 6-2, 6-2 the week before, this was a stunning reversal of fortune. When play resumed after the medical delay, the question of momentum hung over every single point. Would Eala's rhythm survive the interruption, or would Vekić use the pause to regroup, settle her nerves, and rediscover the dominant form that had carried her through Queen's Club just days before? For a few tense games, neither player gave an inch. Both held serve cleanly, trading games as the set crept toward its conclusion, the tension thickening with every changeover. Then, in the 11th game, Eala delivered the blow that would define the entire opening set. She broke Vekic's serve, seizing the momentum at the most critical possible moment, and rode that break through a 3-game surge to close out the set entirely. After all the swings, all the momentum changes, all the late drama, Eala took the first set 7-5 in just over an hour of tennis that had tested both players in completely different ways. For Vekić, this was the moment where frustration became visible. Here was a player who had not dropped a set in 5 matches, who had looked utterly dominant in winning a title just 3 days earlier, suddenly facing the reality that her current form meant nothing against this specific opponent. The stats from that opening set told their own story. Eala had committed to her aggressive game plan and made it work under pressure, converting her break chances when it mattered, while Vekic's own conversion rate told a story of missed opportunities at crucial moments. Online, the reaction was immediate and split. Tennis fans who had followed the head-to-head closely were not surprised. For them, this was simply Eala doing what Eala does against Vekić specifically. But the wider tennis audience, the casual fans who had only been tracking Vekic's incredible grass court run, were stunned. How does a player who just dominated Wimbledon's traditional warm-up event suddenly look this vulnerable? Comment sections and forums filled with theories. Some pointed to fatigue. 8 matches in 10 days is a brutal physical toll, even for elite athletes. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Is this just a fascinating head-to-head quirk, the kind of stylistic puzzle that tennis history is full of? Or is Alex Eala about to become the player that finally redefines how good Donna Vekić can actually be? If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of women's tennis's most surprising rivalries, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the rivalries, the controversies, and the stories shaping the WTA Tour right now.